set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Welcome to Opinion Nation.
And we stand today on the edge of a new frontier.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal. That all of us are created equal.
I, too, am American.
Now, here's your host, Bryce Robbins.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Opinion Nation. It is 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I must tell you, today is bittersweet because it is my last show from sunny New Jersey. And I gotta tell you, it's been fun here, but I am very excited to go on down to Washington, D.C. But today's show, I have a guest on who is running for president. He's a 9/11 truther, and he's got some other interesting beliefs that the conventional presidential candidate may not share. But I think that's what makes him unique and stood out to me. So his name is Ed Baker, and why don't you join us today, Mr. Baker? How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, first, lob an easy question in here. How did you wake up one day and say, I'm running for president. Let's do this. Let's file my papers.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. And I also want to just toss out there, my website is edbaker2016.com. And that's also how you'll find me on social media, putting in edbaker2016. There's a number of reasons why I decided. It was back in January of 2014. I don't exactly know what went through my mind at that very moment. I know I was communicating with someone who is not a strong supporter of mine, and after some kind of a little debate on some topic or going back and forth, I said, you know what? I am running for. I sent her a message right then saying I'm going to run for president of the United States. And about that same moment, she sent me a message that came in before she saw mine that said, "You really need to stop talking about politics." And from there, I was on my way, I guess. But in August 2014, I filed my paperwork with the FEC, making it official. Some of the reasons why is because we get the same type of people coming out of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. You look back at like 2004, we had Skull and Bones members, John Kerry against George Bush. And you've got, a few hundred people that are Skull and Bones members, and yet those are your two choices out of the major parties to represent 300 million Americans. And it just seems very set up, very rigged, or something's not right when that's how things are coming out. Also, we've had since 9/11, you mentioned that I'm a truther, we've had a Republican and a Democrat hold office. Both of them said almost verbatim not to question the official story. I certainly question the official story. I don't believe that the official story is remotely close to what happened that day. So there again, you've had a Republican and a Democrat as president that won't touch the reality of that situation. And then I just wanted to see firsthand, just what candidates go through. I believe it very likely is a rigged process in certain ways. And I just wanted to see, certainly the cards are stacked against a person that isn't a member of a major political party, and it's stacked against those that are if they're not accepted as a viable candidate.
So let me ask you, first, do you know how many ballots you're going to be on in November?
Votes will count for me as a write-in candidate at this point in about 7 or 8 states at this point. Hopefully that'll grow. This has been one of the major challenges that I found as a candidate that's not a member of any political party. My short answer to this is that my name will not appear on any ballot at this point, and that's something that I'd be happy to talk about, and it's something that needs to be discussed.
Please, the floor is yours.
How hard that is.
All right, yeah, no, please, the floor is yours. Tell us about your experience and how, you're an American citizen and you're trying to run for president. Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, thank you very much, because this is what has, really become such a frustrating part of this whole thing. 2 full years since I filed paperwork, and every state has their own rules, first of all, and I'm all for states' rights. I'm all for, letting the people within a community decide how they want to live their lives rather than having federal government telling them how to do every single thing. That being said, when you have a presidential election, it seems like some things should be consistent for a candidate. So I'm in Portland, Oregon. In my home state, I would need to have 18,000 verified signatures of registered voters in order to get on the ballot. That comes out, you add in another 30 to 50% more to, because some of those are contested by the major parties. They can contest any signature they want. All those have to be done by petition, in person, face-to-face, on a clipboard type thing, signing. And it's just very challenging to do that. Now in Oregon, it's 18,000. In California, it's 180,000 verified signatures. And in California, you only have 105 days to get those in.
Now,
Texas,
I know... Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
Yeah.
I was going to say that, while it is challenging, I do know an independent candidate, his name's Lloyd Kelso, who has actually just announced his vice presidential pick, but he was actually able to do it as an independent. Now, are you saying that the struggle is time, money, and if you don't have the time to do so, to get the signatures, do you think you'll have time to be president? Do you think you'll have time to take on that responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, those are all fair questions. And there were over 1,700 people that filed with the FEC. I'm not suggesting that every single person that fills out a piece of paper or says I'm going to run for president should be on a ballot. However, it would be nice if it was a little bit more consistent state to state. An example is the state of Washington requires that you put on a convention in their state. So if every state required that, they have, again, set dates when it has to take place. You have to put on a convention. You have to get over 1,000 people to attend it and get over 1,000 people to sign your petition. The expense there is a huge part of this within each state. I'm someone that just doesn't have that kind of money to be able to pay people to go out and collect signatures. We had a person here in Oregon that was actually a Democrat that was running to try to get on the primary ballot. He had over 25 people out collecting signatures. Again, someone nobody's ever heard of, but he was paying them $20 an hour to go out and collect signatures. So it's a big difference when you do have those resources. It's very difficult without spending millions of dollars, on your campaign to get on ballots.
All right, so I guess it would be a good time to move on to some of your ideas that make you. Well, first thing is first, I want to talk about the 9/11 truther part of you. And I thought that this was really interesting because, many people have questions about it. Even sometimes I've raised my eyebrow at a thing or two. But I want you to explain to me what makes you think that 9/11 may have been a conspiracy, may not have been exactly what you think it is.
Okay, so, I think for everybody, you look at what's available, whether it's videos or read what's available. And for me, it's listening to people that are like architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, professionals that they talk about how the structures came down, and they give their experiences with controlled demolition, or they're, able to look at a lot of the evidence that's out there, the detailed stuff, and it made sense when I heard Richard Gage give his presentation. What happened for me was President George Bush went on TV and said not to allow yourself to question the official story, and there was just something about the way he said it that made me very much question, kind of like, why is he saying it like that? Why is he telling me not to question something? I almost immediately went on YouTube or somehow found, a video right away, and I watched a 2-hour documentary from Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth with Richard Gage. A lot of what they were presenting there just made sense to me, just as far as how buildings come down and showing those towers coming down. A lot of people aren't familiar that World Trade Center Building 7 also came down that day. Wasn't hit by a plane. It also fell at nearly free fall speed. And based on what I've heard from the architects and engineers and what my eyes have seen and what makes sense to me, it certainly looks like controlled demolition.
Now, can I ask you, what do you think, and I've actually done enough research in my lots of free time to see that is a little interesting, the Building 7 issue. And if anybody here listening doesn't know what that is, I encourage you to go look up Building 7 World Trade Center and decide for yourself what you think it is. But my biggest problem that leads me back to the same conclusion that it was not, may not have been our government is the fact that that question, why would they do it? So if you could explain to me, why you think that the United States government would do this, please let me know.
And I don't, Bryce, I'm not somebody that gets into great big debates or something on, and goes back and forth on it a lot. But what I'll just say again is, the other things real quickly is the Pentagon also seems, there's no real evidence that an airplane crashed there, a 757 Boeing. That's another thing. To answer your question of why, I don't have the answers about who exactly did it, and why the exact motives of this. However, obviously we went to 2 wars after that. We went to Iraq and went to Afghanistan. There's obviously a lot of people make a lot of money at times of war. I think whatever the reason is, it's not a good reason. It's disgusting. It's horrible that we had 2,996 people die on 9/11. Tens of thousands died and wounded in the wars. Not to mention 12% come back with PTSD, and many commit suicide and have other problems, and wounded, and all these lives are changed forever. So, exactly who planned, executed, and covered it up, that is what needs to come out. What I would like to see is a real investigation. What I want to see is the truth, whatever that may be. If it turned out that I'm wrong, in my opinion, based on what I've heard from firefighters and architects and engineers and pilots that say they would not be able to execute the flight path that it would have taken to hit the Pentagon at the angle that it did, we're told that it did. There's just, if any part of the official story is not true, I say, how can you believe any of it? And when I look at those things that I mentioned there, they don't add up to me. I don't believe it. I believe what I'm hearing from who I consider to be experts in the field. They give their opinions, and they seem to, have their expertise, and that just makes more sense to me. So what I'm encouraging your listeners to do, as you mentioned with World Trade Center 7, is look for yourself. I just don't want 15 years later this to just, so many people just don't care, frankly, and just say, oh, it was 15 years ago, and they just go on with their lives. And, a lot of people's lives changed. All of our lives changed as a result of 9/11.
What do you think about the 28-page documents that were released by the government that may have stated that Saudi Arabia may or may not have had a role in facilitating the terrorists on 9/11 in the supposed story?
Yeah, I'm glad it got released. I mean, as far as that seemed to be a big deal for a lot of people, they wanted to get that released. I'm for, unless something that is classified puts our national security or our military in direct danger, I believe we should have that stuff released to the public. So I'm glad it's released. As far as the Saudi Arabia ties, there's so much misinformation out on the internet, or people, everybody has an opinion, and maybe especially when you're into the 9/11 truth stuff or conspiracies or anything like that. So I try not to get too into all that stuff, but I mean, some people were saying this is going to be great because it's going to say this about the Saudis, and then the Saudis are going to come back and say that's not true, and we're going to get to the truth that way. So just because why was it redacted in the first place? So I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad that it's been released, and now we go from there.
All right, so I want to stick to some things on your platform, or on your goals and platform. You talk about full disclosure of UFOs. So, can you tell me a little bit about that? Is that something to make you unique, or is this something that you genuinely feel you want to investigate and look into?
Well, if it was to make me look unique, I wouldn't have done that, because it doesn't, there's a percentage of the population that is a big deal to and a big turn on, but the majority of the population, is not going to find that to be an attractive thing for a candidate to come out and say, probably at this point. So it is a passion at this point for me. I'm not an experiencer myself in any way. However, in my communications with people through social media, I've met so many people, and one of the people shared with me their experiences. And I ended up talking to a number of people, and they invited me to a conference out in Portland, Maine last year in August called Starborn Support. experiencers speak. And they invited me to come out there because they thought it was important for me to hear from these people that have had experiences. So I went out there, and some of your listeners may have heard of Travis Walton, who was from Arizona 40 years ago, had an experience that got a lot of publicity, ended up with a movie called Fire in the Sky. But there were a number of presenters, and so I went out there. I spent 6 days in Portland, Maine, 2 days at a conference, and then the rest of the time at a lake house with these amazing people, heard a lot of their experiences, and I walked away having no doubt that there's something going on in some way, shape, or form that a number of these people there really have experienced. And again, what I would like to see is the truth come out.
But what what would suggest that there? I mean, I would agree that there are probably aliens out there somewhere. I mean, I would not disagree with that. Look at the Drake equation, and if you don't know what that is, I encourage you to look it up, everybody. But what makes you think, and what is the incentive behind the government withholding UFOs or, aliens from us? Because, is it like Men in Black where they say, humanity can't handle it? Or what is it?
Could be. Maybe that is what it is, that they think that. Some suggest, I guess, I'm by no means a UFO expert or, any of this extraterrestrial, again, I'm not an experiencer. I'm just someone that would like for Americans that have concerns to have those addressed. And if you are somebody out there that has experienced something, and you have went out and you've told people, hey, this has happened, whatever, and people think you're nuts, it ruins people's lives. I mean, these people that come out and speak at these conferences are not getting a lot of money. They're, if a lot of them are just doing it to have a support group or someone to, share their experience with. They're ridiculed. There's a lot of bad, that goes with that. And so I just think that if their life was made a living hell because of a government program or because of something, whatever it is, if it's Air Force stuff, but I just think that we should have some truth out there about what's going on to put some of that to rest. However, it sounds like it's a lot more than that from what these people have shared. It sounds like these people really have had, in some case, abductions or at least, some forms of experiences. I just want whatever the motivation to hide that stuff is. There's probably I would think no question there is some classified information out there on this topic. And if there is, then again, I think it should be released unless it does put our military or national security at direct danger by doing so. But obviously we've had politicians in the past certainly speak about this, even Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, different politicians have spoken about their curiosity or their desire to get more information on that topic.
All right, so Mr. Baker, I don't know if you know him. I think most people do. He was the host of the show Cosmos, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And on a talk about UFOs, someone asked him if you believe in UFOs and if you believe in UFO sightings. And he said, well, the problem with the statement is that it's exactly what they are. They're unidentified flying objects. So if they're unidentified, how can we state that they are, in fact, extraterrestrial life? They are, if they're unidentified. So my question to you is, if they are exactly what they say they are, unidentified flying objects, why do you jump the gun? Where do you find it to jump the gun to say, okay, this is what it is?
I don't know that I said. What do you think I said that it is? The UFOs, an unidentified flying object. Okay, that's true. But maybe there is some other contact of some kind that is documented and classified. These people that are saying that they've had experiences, a Travis Walton that says he was abducted, for example, and there are all these witnesses to this. And again, if Fire in the Sky, Travis Walton, again, for people to research that on their own, and a movie that recently came out documenting it called Travis. But, all these people pass lie detector tests saying that they witnessed this thing. When you got 5-6 people that all pass lie detector tests on the same topic, that to me, gives me some reason to believe their story.
Well, let's not forget, the guy who made the lie detector test said it is the Frankenstein of his. He regrets ever making it, but that's beside the point. But all right, I'd like to move on to.
Police officers still like to use them.
No, unfortunate. I know. I want to move on to a different topic here, because another interesting thing in your platform is that you support the Confederate flag. And to quote your website, you say, "I want to be clear that I am in strong support of that that the flag flying high anywhere that Americans want to fly it." So you seem that you believe strongly that you can fly the Confederate flag. My question is, do you think it's okay to fly it on public ground if the government is flying the Confederate flag?
I can see the argument against it, and my thing on that, it really came out, I think there was something in South Carolina where someone, I believe, killed a lot of people at maybe a mosque, and he died as well, I believe, and as a result, right after that, it made a big deal about the Confederate flag, and within just a matter of weeks, I believe, it was taken down from public property, and all these types of things. My thing is that I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I'm not from the South. I've got a lot of supporters that are in the South. I believe strongly that people should have a say when something comes down from a public place where it has been forever, for so long. I think that people in that community should have say in that. So I think too often we are politically correct, or we say this means that, or because this person took this action, we need to punish everyone that believes that way or that supports what that person supported. And that particular individual is dead. And I think that at that point, if they want to have debate and discussion and go forward with some kind of community vote or something like that, but for people to go out and take down 10 commandments from a Capitol building or however that worked 2 years ago around that same time, or take down Confederate flag that has flown there for so long. Is there a certain population that thinks of that as a racist symbol or recognizes it as that, and that's why they fly it? Well, I'm sure there is, but there's a lot of people that just look at that as a symbol of pride, and that is their flag.
I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine finding pride in a repressive government that was the enemy to the United States flag, at least on public ground. If you're in your private property, I see you doing whatever you want, but I understand people's anger on their government flying a Confederate flag, and I even see a problem with it being inside state flags. But, anyways, I want to ask also, because you brought it up, about the Ten Commandments being on court buildings. To me, I always saw that religion should not have its play in our government, and be it that only 2 of the 10 commandments are actual laws in our country. Don't you think it's a little ridiculous to have those as a symbol, cornerstone of our justice system?
What I don't like, it was there. And I mean, yes, always go back to there's been horrible decisions throughout time, and it it takes time to get things right. My main problem with things like this is when it's not an overall, like a vote of the people. Okay, so someone made this decision, take it down. I don't believe this went to a vote in that community of the people there. And it's just when there is going to be a major change, I'd like to see it affect, the people that are affected by that change have a say, have a vote. That's the main thing. As far as religion in politics or religion in the courtroom, I tend to agree with your point there. But it was there for a long time, and then all of a sudden it gets taken down. Why all of a sudden are these things happening? It seems to me that it's more because we're catering to people who are coming into this country that do not love America or do not want to be Americans, and they want to feel more at home. and these types of things. That's my take on a lot of the changes or this sort of thing. We've got a lot of political correctness. If they want to make those changes, let's vote on it. Let's have people in those communities or people that are affected by that have some say in it. I think when a change is made where the majority of people in that area that are affected by that change do not agree with it, that's when we end up with a lot of the problems that we're having.
All right, so now I'm just curious. Do you belong to a political party?
I don't. No. The short answer to that is no, I do not. I'm not a fan of political parties. I think people should, stand on their own as far as each issue. And I can see some benefits to political parties when it comes to campaigning. It is harder, I'm sure, to do this on your own than when you have that kind of structure that's there. But as far as so many people bounce around from party to party and whatever just to try to win an election, and it's really BS.
Now, one last question, then we're going to go to break. And can you stay with us for a couple minutes afterward?
Yeah, I got about 15 left.
All right, great. So my last question before we go to break is, in respect to parties, you sound like you would identify with the Libertarian Party. It doesn't seem that you support the Confederate flags, meaning you just support people's right to choose it. You don't support, some of these, policies that, most people do, I guess, in the liberal world that I'm from, but you support their right to. Do you think that you would fit best with libertarians? I mean, I'm just curious.
Honestly, I'm not familiar with their party, exactly what they stand for and all that sort of thing. Based on your definition of those two things, yes. I don't know their stance on things like marriage equality. There's really hundreds, if not thousands, of issues out there that are important to different people. So I don't really believe in labeling myself that way. I would be interested in seeing their platform exactly, but I mean, again, I think that people shouldn't label one another. Just because you think this and this means you think that and that.
All right. Thank you very much. And when we get back, we are going to talk more with presidential candidate Ed Baker about all his beliefs, get into more policies just for a couple more minutes when we get back. For right now, I'm Bryce Robbins. This is Opinion Nation. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional materials. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote. Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050. Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Again, my name is Bryce Robbins, and we are on Opinion Nation. I am joined now, still, with presidential candidate Ed Baker. And, you know, the biggest topic that I wanted to get to today is your policies on, essentially, crime. You write on your website to get the bad guys. And you say you strongly believe in punishing the bad guys in America, but then you go on to say people who murder, rape, molest children, illegally enter, traffic, or deal hardcore drugs need to be put to death. Now, and you laugh. Now, I might agree with, murderers, rapists, and child molesters, but, everybody deserves a fair trial. What do you mean by illegally enter?
Was there a comma after that, or was that including the illegal drugs?
Yeah, you write, it's your website, you write, molest children, comma, illegally enter, comma, traffic or deal hardcore drugs need to be put to death.
Yeah, the website was built a long time ago, and I really need a web professional or some help with staying on top of that. But bottom line is that, yes, I believe strongly that we do need to punish bad guys. However, we do need fair trials. We do need a much more, we need to get rid of private prisons. We need to do a lot of things. As far as illegally enter, that was probably during a point where I was extremely passionate about punishing people that are not living in America legally. However, I do not believe that they should be put to death. Okay, so I do probably need to clean that part up a little bit. Put to death may be quite strong. It certainly is. I'm not saying that I'm against the death penalty in America. I think there probably are some cases where it deserves that. Bottom line, though, is that when we got people that are getting out of prison or out of jail with slaps on the wrist and going out and committing more crimes, and I personally have a history in my life. It was not as bad as a lot of people go through, but I did have a very bad gambling addiction, and I got help for that. But I did 15 days in jail, and it was a very a period of time. It opened my eyes to a lot of things. But the jail, the people that were in my cell block, mostly were there on probation violations. But most of them were going around talking about how they were going to commit another crime when they got out. There was no rehabilitation. There was no, it's just, I called it a dog park. They just put people in there for a couple weeks or a month or whatever. People walked around in circles all day, calling each other dog, and it just really, other than getting them literally off the street and out of the community that they maybe were terrorizing or whatever, it wasn't doing anything beyond that.
Right, but you say that you want people who traffic or deal hardcore drugs should be put to death. Don't you feel that many of the people, at least, who do deal hardcore drugs or even traffic it are the poorest people who have the least opportunity? And,
yes.
And you want to put them to death for that.
Okay, and again, I will say on your show for the first time that I need to soften my words on that, and put to death needs to get out of that whole sentence there. But what I would like to see is, I would like to see these communities, they're not talking about this when they talk about all this race stuff and police and Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter and all this stuff, and I talk about it quite a bit, that we do need to figure out why are people choosing the lifestyles that they're choosing that are often putting them in these positions. And why are those communities so poor? Why are they, and where did these drugs come from to begin with? Is it the CIA to begin with that brought in a lot of these drugs and got them into those communities to begin with? What are our deals within our government with the cartels from Mexico or from whatever, south of our border? And how are these drugs actually getting into our country? Is it that they're passing through the border, or is it coming in through airplanes or something? I mean, you look back at the Oliver North stuff and all that kind of thing. We don't have time today to get into all that stuff, but I would like to see this really looked at from all these angles. I would like to find ways to raise up those communities, but we do need to get the violent gang members that are terrorizing those communities, whoever the worst people are, we've got to give them significant punishment. And when they go to prison, it shouldn't be a recruiting ground and a place for them to get stronger, rather than, until they show that they want to, actually improve their lives, they shouldn't be released. I mean, we shouldn't have those timelines on it.
I don't know if you know, but in the Philippines, their new president, Rodrigo Duterte, I think is how you pronounce his name, a little worse than Donald Trump, actually a lot, but he's actually killed 800 or supported the vigilante killing of over 800 people because they were drug pushers or drug users, and I just, that is beyond human rights violations and whatnot. I mean, yeah. So I'm glad you denounced your platform on that. And
I will, soften my words on that on my site and everything. I'm not as concerned. I'm concerned for the drug users. I'm not as concerned about them from a punishment standpoint. What I've got concern on, I'd like to help them, but I am concerned about the people that are out there dealing drugs near schools and to kids, and the people that are bringing in these drugs into our country. However that's happening, I'm talking hardcore drugs, heroin. When we went to Afghanistan and all the opium and everything over there. And how much since that war started, how much more addicted we are to that drug and how much cheaper it is now in America. It's something people need to look at. And again, I'm about truth and accountability, so I would like to see the truth come out, and I'd like to see the punishments that fit the crime.
All right, and one last question, then I'll let you go for today. It seems as though you're not a legislator. You haven't dabbled in law. And my question is you want to be president of the most powerful country that ever existed, lead the army of the strongest country that there ever was. And your platform, up until now at least, has had putting people to death in it. Can I ask you, do you honestly expect to be the president one day? And if so, how are you more qualified than someone like a Hillary Clinton, who's been, Secretary of State, she's been a senator, or even past presidents? I mean, even Barack Obama was inexperienced to be president. He was a first-term senator. So my question is, if you haven't even had the basic government under your belt, how do you become qualified to then become the president of the most powerful country that ever existed?
Sure, that's up to the individual voters and people to decide what's important to them. The qualifications to be president is that you're at least 35 years old, that you're born in the United States, you've lived here at least 14 years consecutively. I qualify, as do probably all the other 1,700 people that filed their paperwork to do so. From there, it's up to you to decide. I'm not a career politician. I'm someone that certainly would rely on good people and experts within each of those different fields and sectors to give a lot of information. Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, is a very evil person. We don't have time to get into a whole lot of this stuff, but you got to look at all these candidates that are being pushed by the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I had a bloop there that I thought I got disconnected. But anyway, I just encourage your people out there to look for more options than what mainstream media pushes. There's a lot of them out there. And again, edbaker2016.com. If anyone would like to get in touch, I'm very easy to talk to.
All right, sounds good, Ed. Thank you very much. I'm sending you the link of your show today to your Skype. So if you want, please absolutely post it. I sent it to you in a message. But any last words before I let you leave?
Well, hey, I just really want to thank you for having me on your show, introducing me to your audience. That's what it's all about, is letting people know that they have more options to choose from. And whatever happens on November 8th, on November 9th, I'll be out trying to meet as many people as I can and learn from them. I don't have all the answers. I'm trying to learn from everyone I can. I'm always open to changing. I won't change my morals or things of that nature, but I am always open to learning more and reviewing my position on things. So, when you call to my attention some of these things, I will always go back and look. And if I find that I was wrong, I'll say so. I don't consider that flip-flopping. I just consider that learning more and being smart. So thank you and everyone that listened for doing so, and look forward to talking to you again.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ed Baker. You have yourself a wonderful day, and please, if you can, share today's episode. It really was a lot of fun having you on. All right, thank you very much for coming on our show.
All right, bye.
All right, everybody. So that was presidential candidate Ed Baker. He is running for president. Excuse me. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the most conventional, platform ideas. But hey, I guess we've had a lot of presidential candidates come on the show, try to get our guests to understand who they are and just what they stand for. So I think we did our job in that sense. Now, I'm actually curious. A lot of you have been responsive, and you can always email me at bryce@klrnradio.com or tweet me at robinsbryce on Twitter, or even reach out to me on Facebook. But I want to know your opinions on some of the things that he stood for. While it's hard to believe that 9/11 could be an inside job, a conspiracy, or whatever, perhaps Mr. Baker had a point saying that maybe we just don't know everything. That the investigation should be open. I mean, looking at the Kennedy investigation, which name escapes me for whatever reason, I mean, that was pretty sloppily done, if that's a word. Sloppily? I don't think that's a word, but it was done pretty sloppy. So, maybe it is worth the time. If we're going to spend as much time as we did on Benghazi, then maybe we should spend a little more time on something as big as 9/11. Now, I wanted to get to some other points about what Mr. Baker said. I'm glad he retracted his beliefs on his website, but I'm sure you can go catch him before he gets rid of them on his website about putting people to death. Now, in the Philippines, they have a president who is allowing and doesn't care about the death of nearly 800 people because they are, as quote-unquote, drug pushers, as he would put it. But President Rodrigo Duterte is a dangerous man. So anyone who holds those beliefs, that would be in violation of our 8th Amendment right, cruel and unusual punishment. So I'm glad he was able to retract that. And, it's really up to you. He's not a mainstream candidate, but hey, it's my job just to report to you who's running and what's going on. So that was, again, presidential candidate Ed Baker, 9/11 truther, UFO believer, and you know what? It's up to you to tell him if you agree with him. Tell me if you agree with him. Whatever your position may be, that's all right. That's, just all right. This is your country. You decide. It's your opinion. It's your nation. So believe what you want. All right. Now I want to get to another thing. This is my last episode coming to you live from New Jersey. I will be making a lot of treks back to New Jersey because if you haven't heard, have been elected or by default elected to the school board in my town of Leonia. And what that means is it's a bittersweet. And what I mean by that is it's bitter in the sense that not enough people ran, but it's sweet that I won. And it almost upsets me that something as powerful as the school board of ed was not taken seriously enough by enough people in my town that a 17-year-old like me won. Now, I'm not saying I'm not qualified, I'm not saying I'm not right for the job, but I'm saying I shouldn't have won with showing up. And it to me shows political apathy. It shows to me that our society is tired and just doesn't care enough to fulfill positions. Some people do. But it seems that enough people don't care, which bothers the heck out of me. I would have much rather had the opportunity to run against somebody and win than just show up and win. So if you're listening and you're in your town, I encourage you, run, show up. You might win, but at least you cared enough. See, anybody, it seems now, could just sign up for whatever position, and it seems as though they might get it because it's not contested. And to me, that is not how our democracy was set up. Benjamin Franklin once said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but to the effect, that when a lady asked him, whose name escapes me, what kind of government do we have, when he was leaving the hall in Philadelphia, he said, it's a republic if you can keep it. It's what you make of it, essentially. So if you don't want to run, if you don't want to participate in your government, don't complain when it doesn't go your way. If you don't want to be a part of your school board of education, don't complain when, your education doesn't go the way you want it to. If no one else runs for mayor or councilman, don't complain when your taxes get raised because you couldn't defend yourself. So, if I could push one thing onto my listeners today other than to listen to Ed Baker, I would say run for your local offices, run for any office, and be involved in our political system because it doesn't work if you're not involved. It's not fun if you're not involved, like many things. Sports are not fun if you are not involved in them. Politics and life is just as boring and can be just as scary if you're not involved. I mean, look at the Republican Party. I would go as far to say that not enough people were involved to stop what was happening. I mean, the guy who was the minority voice of the party, I don't believe that all Republicans, or at least I don't want to believe that all Republicans, or the majority of Republicans, are with Trump. But I do believe that enough people didn't care, and this is what we got. So, you decide on that one. But anyways, again, this is going to be my last show from New Jersey. I'm going to be moving down to Washington, D.C., where I will be hosting this show, of course, every Saturday. Next Saturday, I'm not going to be live. I'll try to get a pre-record up, just so, I don't leave you with the same old crud that cycles around. But I will try to get you up a new episode. Also, if you want, there's always Late Night OPNAT, which I've been posting. I've posted 2 or 3 episodes of. I've been doing Opinion Nation late at night to see how many people would listen. Surprisingly, and I'm talking, I've done it at 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Who the hell wants to listen to me at 2:30 in the morning? I don't know. Whoever you are, thank you. I appreciate your belief in me, but, we had like 30 or 20 people live at 2:30 in the morning, and that's big numbers for live listeners. It's kind of, I was personally flattered. So if you are one of the listeners, thank you very much for tuning in to Late Night OPNAT. I'm going to try to keep that going as long as I can and see how it works out, see if it works well. But, for now, it's working well. Also, tune in at 7 o'clock every day, except today I think it starts at 3, for Jesse's Point of View. It's a show that I'm hosting till the 23rd, while Jesse's away on her writing retreat, or whatever it is that she does, so definitely tune in for that. My next guest that I want to have on is actually somebody a lot closer to home. A former teacher of mine. Unfortunately, I never had him. His name's Dr. Keith Massey. Now, he is perhaps the most brilliant person to talk to, and probably one of the best guests I can have on my show. First of all, go get the book Arabic for Dummies. His name is on it. I think he wrote it or something. The guy speaks like 5 languages. I know he speaks Biblical Hebrew, obviously English, Latin, and I'm sure many other languages that I don't even know. But he's a worldly guy. He's traveled all over the place. But most importantly, he has worked for the NSA. And in today's world, if the NSA isn't a hot button issue, then I don't know what is. So I really want to find out some questions about the NSA. I want to know from an insider, what is the NSA like? Should we worry about 9/11 conspiracies? Because he, again, worked there during this time. Right after 9/11, he went down and signed up. So, he's a real patriot. And you know what? I'm just excited to have him on the show because I think that this will give us a real unique perspective. He's very into our country, very into our foreign appearance, I would say, in my discussions with him. And I'm definitely excited that he agreed to work out a time to come on. So that'll be awesome. And check him out on YouTube because this guy is the most hilarious... I was going to say hilarious teacher, but he's just hilarious all around with some of his YouTube videos. Some I learn a lot from, some I laugh hysterically at, and some, I just realize that this is what all teachers should be like in how they engage with their students and are, show to have a life outside of the school. It gives a real life behind the person teaching you. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to have him as my Latin teacher. I never took Latin. In fact, I only took 2 years of language, and I don't know how I got into George Washington University with that, but that's beside the point. Be it that I don't even have to take the language there, so maybe that helped. But he is a teacher who, is what all teachers should strive to be. So I encourage you all, check him out. In my conversations with him, he's amazing. He's going to be on with me, probably my first episode going down to GW. Coming to you live from DC, he'll probably be with us. But for now, that's really all I got. I hope you really enjoyed today's show with presidential candidate Ed Baker. I hope you share, like, and tweet. Of course, you can always find me every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also find me offline and now on late night OPNAT, which I'm trying to start up. But until then, I'll catch you again next Saturday, maybe in between with Late Night OPNAT on Jess's Point of View till the 23rd. And of course, next Saturday, live from Washington, D.C. I will see you later, everybody. Have a good week.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.